Ayan was very upset. He did not understand how to deal with the situation. He loved his mother very much, but his wife and children kept their distance from her. His mother, Kamla, had only one eye and a back bent at a 90-degree angle. Though she managed all her work on her own, she somehow always seemed to trouble Ayan's wife and children. "Grandma, go to the upstairs room. My friends are coming over," Ayan's son Akil said rudely. "But son, I'm sitting far away from where you'll be," Kamla replied lovingly, hoping to reason with him. "No, you shouldn't be here. He teases me about you," Akil scolded, raising his voice. "What's happening, Akil? Why are you shouting?" Ayan's wife, Jia, called out from the kitchen. "Mother, this grandmother is sitting here in the drawing room, and my friends are coming," Akil complained in an irritated tone. "Mother, please go upstairs. Why do you embarrass us?" Jia said, taking her son's side. Poor Kamla stood up silently and began climbing the stairs. It was difficult for her, given her bent back, but she pushed through the pain and made her way to a lonely corner in the upstairs room. Ayan, listening from the adjacent room, felt terrible. His mother was being insulted, but he felt helpless. If he stood up for her, his wife and children would turn against him. And in some ways, their reasoning seemed logical. He was an administrative officer with a high social status, and his in-laws came from an elite family as well. Day after day, he watched his mother face humiliation without saying a word. That night, Jaya confronted Ayan. "You need to do something about your mother. Yesterday, when the collector's wife came, your mother met her in her village style. I felt so embarrassed to tell her that she was my mother-in-law. I lied and said she was a distant relative here for treatment." Ayan felt like crying, but he stayed silent. He didn't know what to do. Kamla understood her son's inner turmoil and bore the humiliation quietly, hoping to spare him any further pain. Ayan grew more miserable. On one side was his commitment to family and society, and on the other was his love for his mother. One day, Kamla could no longer bear to see her son suffer. "Ayan, it's been a long time. I want to go back to my village. Please take me there. I don't feel right staying here anymore." "But mother, there's no one in the village. Who will take care of you?" Ayan asked, surprised. "Oh, the villagers will help, and your uncle still lives there. We'll make all the necessary arrangements." It was as though Jiya's wish had been fulfilled. "Yes, son, your wife is right," Kamla said with a sigh. Ayan knew there was no one in the village to take care of his mother, but under his wife's pressure, he reluctantly agreed to leave her there. As he dropped her off in the village, Ayan's heart ached. He wanted to cry and was furious at his helplessness. But once he returned home, the expectations of his family, his wife, and society suppressed those feelings, and he slowly began to feel at ease again. A few days later, Ayan's uncle, Dr. Ramesh, who lived in America, was due to visit. He had last come to India when Ayan was just a boy, before Ayan's father passed away. Now, after so many years, he was returning. The whole family and neighborhood buzzed with excitement. Dr. Ramesh, A renowned doctor from America was coming. When he arrived, the family welcomed him with great enthusiasm. "Where is my sister-in-law, Ayana?" Dr. Ramesh asked, looking around curiously. "She lives in the village. She doesn't like it here," Jia replied in a flat tone. When Dr. Ramesh looked at Ayan, he noticed his nephew avoiding his gaze, eyes lowered. Dr. Ramesh understood everything. "Tomorrow, we will all go to the village to meet her," he declared. The next day, the family traveled to the village. There, they found Kamla lying helpless on her bed with a high fever. Dr. Ramesh rushed to her side, touched her feet, and began to cry. He had never imagined Kamla would be in such a condition. "Ayan, you've disgraced yourself. How can you stand to see your mother like this?" Dr. Ramesh scolded Ayan, his voice heavy with disappointment. "No, brother-in-law, Ayan is not to blame. I came to the village myself." Kamla interjected, trying to defend her son. "I know the truth, sister-in-law. Please stay quiet." Turning to Jia, Dr. Ramesh continued, "So, daughter-in-law, you couldn't stand your mother-in-law's appearance? Did you feel ashamed of her in front of society?" Jia stood speechless, unable to meet his eyes, while Ayan looked on, devastated. "The social status you enjoy today, all of it is due to her sacrifices," Dr. Ramesh began, addressing Ayan. "You may not know this, but when you were just a year old, you fell from the roof, damaging one of your eyes and your spine. It was your so-called ugly mother who gave you the life you have now. She gave you one of her eyes, and her bone marrow saved your spine. Jia, this woman who struggled for years to raise her son, making him into the administrative officer he is today, this is the condition you've left her in. God will never forgive you." Dr. Ramesh's voice trembled with emotion as tears filled his eyes. Turning back to Kamla, he said, "Sister-in-law, you will come to America with me now. You will not live among these selfish people any longer." Ayan felt as if his world had shattered. His uncle's words hit him like a lightning bolt, revealing the truth he had been too blind to see. He realized there was no greater sinner than himself. He ran to his mother, fell at her feet, and sobbed. "Mother, my crime is unforgivable. I stayed silent while you were insulted, while I allowed them to hurt you. From now on, you will stay with me in our home and no one else." He glanced sharply at his wife and children, his eyes burning with determination. Jaya, now overwhelmed with guilt, couldn't even look Kamla in the eye. Tears streamed down her face, but she lacked the courage to speak. Sensing her remorse, Kamla called Jia over, gently consoling her. Then, looking at Ayan, she scolded him, "Beware. If you try to separate my daughter-in-law from me, I will throw you out of the house." Jia and the children fell at Kamla's feet, begging for forgiveness. And as only a mother's heart can, Kamla forgave them all. The moral of the story is that we must never forget or neglect the sacrifices of those who helped shape our lives, especially our parents. True value lies not in appearances or societal status, but in love, gratitude, and respect for the ones who have given us everything. Ignoring their sacrifices out of embarrassment or societal pressure can lead to deep regret, and it's essential to cherish and honor them before it's too late.